A little bit about onepocket.org before I bring up our next honoree. For those of you that are not aware of our organization, onepocket.org is an organization that is built to foster and encourage the growth of the great game of One Pocket. And the next honoree founded onepocket.org 20 years ago because One Pocket was getting short shrift from the other pool organizations, and he felt the need to focus on One Pocket and banks and have an organization just for us. It has been his labor of love for the last 20 years to build onepocket.org into the organization and to grow the sport of One Pocket to the point where, and I can say this fairly confidently, that One Pocket is in a better place today than it has ever been, in large part because of the efforts of Mr. Steve Booth. Steve Booth's tireless efforts to spread the gospel of One Pocket to all corners of the world, both in America and abroad, has helped make this one of the most popular games in billiards. Steve is from New Hampshire, and his loving wife, Sue, who helps him behind the scenes and does a lot of work, but he doesn't get paid anything to run onepocket.org. But still, he is the glue that keeps the whole organization together. He makes sure that all disputes that happen in the pool hall get squashed. He makes sure that the rules of One Pocket become standardized, and he led and spearheaded the effort to make the standard rules of One Pocket that you can find on onepocket.org standardized, so that when people had an argument over what was the rule of the game, they could go to onepocket.org in one place and they could find the answer. And that was Steve Booth. Steve has grown the sport by fostering members-only tournaments all around the United States. And one of the most important things that Steve Booth has done has helped, along with Alex Lely, has helped spread One Pocket to Europe. And in September, I will be in The Hague, Netherlands, to participate in the 4th annual European Championship. And it's largely because of Steve Booth's effort that they're playing One Pocket in Europe now. And I will tell you, if you look around this room, you'll see 7 or 8 Europeans that were not here the first year that we had this tournament. They were not here 5 years ago, but now they're here. And they're here because the One Pocket is an epidemic and there ain't no cure. And when they found out that Buffalo's was putting on an event and we were coming down to Europe, they said, we're coming to the United States, we will come to Buffalo's. And Ivan Belmonte from Barcelona, Spain, flew over here with his buddy and put $2,000 in the tournament. And of course, the first draw was Fedor Gorst. How's he doing, all right? But Fedor gave him a good picture and a good ass kicking, and now Ivan gets to play somebody else. But he's having a great time. It's largely due to Steve Booth's efforts to grow the game to Europe. They love it over there. I think we had 62 players last year in the tournament, and we're going to have more. I think we had over 11 countries represented in the European tournament, and it's because of Steve Booth leading the way to grow One Pocket all around the world. And no one has ever done that in One Pocket. No one has ever taken the mantle and spread it to anywhere other than the United States. So for 20 years, Steve has been working One Pocket, growing One Pocket, doing whatever he can to grow the game, to make it more popular, to make it more acceptable, to make it more understandable. And I will tell you, if you want to know how successful Steve Booth has been at growing One Pocket, look at the players list at Buffalo's Pro Classic. We have Fedor Gorst. He didn't play One Pocket 5 years ago, not much. He played at the Derby City, and here he is, the 3rd year he's played. Joshua Filler never plays One Pocket except at the Derby City, and he's here playing One Pocket. Dennis Orcullo, One Pocket champion now, didn't even play 10 years ago except at the Derby City, all right? We got Mickey Kraus from Denmark. He's a killer now, and he's over here playing One Pocket. We've got Roberto Gomez from the Philippines, moved over here. He's a One Pocket specialist now. The world is playing One Pocket largely because of the efforts of people like Steve Booth. And today, we honor Steve Booth for the 20 years of hard work he has done to foster the growth of the great game of One Pocket. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Steve Booth. Come forward, please.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, this is attorney Joe Long on the microphone introducing Steve Booth, the founder of OnePocket.org.
Help me present this plaque.
Steve Booth, awesome guy, great promoter of the game of One Pocket. His website, onepocket.org.
The plaque says, the One Pocket Hall of Fame is pleased to honor Steve Booth for his outstanding contribution to the legacy of the game of One Pocket, May 2025. Ms. Booth, please give the plaque to your deserving husband. All right, can we get some pictures for the honoree and his wife? Let me get a picture with Steve here. Unfortunately, this is the best I can do. I'm sorry.
One more?
Yes, sir.
All right.
An honor well deserved, my friend. Congratulations.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude the One Pocket Hall of Fame ceremony. I'm going to turn the mic over to Steve. I'm going to turn the mic over to Steve. He doesn't really like to talk, but he's going to talk about popcorn, and I want him to give me at least 5 minutes, for your 20 years of hard work.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you. This is about right on the microphone. I got a few notes on my phone. I am going to try to be real brief. What are you trying to do? Just right there? Okay. Thank you, Joe. You know, I've been picking up these plaques. I've been getting these plaques made at the same place for 21 years. The first one for Grady Matthews. So every time I go pick up the plaque, I open the box and I look at it, and I got to check to, to proof it, make sure it's right. And this time I opened it. It's got my name on it. It's a very strange feeling. And I have tried to be in the background this whole time. When the early Hall of Fames, I was in the background. What do you want? You want me to talk more?
Let's see if we can check on your mic.
One in your hand.
This one?
No, I got it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Other one, put it back where it was, please.
Mic check, 1, 2. I'll take responsibility. I'll take responsibility for that. I'm sorry.
Would you turn that off?
No, I didn't, but I'll still take responsibility. Go ahead.
All right. I'm holding it close.
There you go.
Closer.
I'm holding it close. But then I did take a look at the plaque, and there it says, outstanding contribution for the legacy of the game of One Pocket. And that's what it said since 2004 for Grady Matthews. And I realized, wait a minute, that's what I've been trying to do this last 20 years. Contribute to the legacy of the game of One Pocket. And that felt good, and I felt like, okay, maybe that was me. Anyway, moving on forward. I remember the very first Hall of Fame dinner. It was at the Executive West Derby City Classic. We were crammed into a room about the size of this pit here. The room was only designed to hold like 30 people. We squeezed 45 people in. I had to turn people away. I turned Bustamante away. I had turned Shannon Dalton away. I said, wait a minute, you guys got to wait until we get people seated, and then we'll get you in. And it was a fantastic experience. But the thing that caught my attention was how much it meant to the guys that got in, because you had players like Grady Matthews, Ronnie Allen, Weenie Beanie. They'd been kind of One Pocket, just never got the recognition. And that is why I started the One Pocket Hall of Fame. At first I thought I'd just pull in the people who were in the BCA Hall of Fame that played One Pocket, but they weren't there. They're not there in the BCA Hall of Fame. So that's why we started it. And when I saw what it meant to like Ronnie Allen, one of the toughest pool hustlers that ever lived, coming to tears. So if I come to tears, I'm not the first one here. All right. And then a week later was the Super Bowl. And it turned out I had one of those $100 squares in the Super Bowl, and I won the pool. So it's like $4,500 for a $100 square. And I took that as a sign that that was a good thing I just did. And I used that I committed that $4,500 to help support the One Pocket Hall of Fame and onepocket.org for like 5 years. I stretched it out. One of the things we had to do was create rules, because the rules that were available at the time were just the BCA rules. It's like a page. They didn't actually have everything right about how players actually played One Pocket. There were some incorrect things in there. Plus it was very incomplete. So that was one of the first things we did, is fill out the rules. I worked with Grady Matthews, I worked with Scott Smith, I worked with other tournament directors back then, and put together basically the rules that you have now. And there are some variations now. You got CSI doing rules, but if you look at their rules, they obviously got them from our rules, because prior to our rules, they were just incomplete. I know it kind of seems like maybe I wrote my own rules to a game so I had a chance to win. And by the way, I have a book, you know, The Art of One Pocket, and maybe I had to do the book so I could publish my photos. And then I had to start a Hall of Fame, so maybe eventually I could get in. That really wasn't my plan. It did work out that way, but it wasn't my plan. Ray Hansen has my book, and I have it too. There's once I discovered One Pocket, I did totally immerse myself. And as I was learning the game, I've got one of those minds that likes to analyze things and categorize things. So I made a ton of notes. I was, by the way, at that tournament he mentioned that Buddy Hall won. So I'd go to those tournaments, I'd make notes about shots, I'd learn what I could, and I accumulated a bunch of notes. That ended up being part of the what went into onepocket.org, and also eventually went into my book. Now Alex isn't here, but I do want to tell one little Alex story. I actually faced Alex in the finals of a One Pocket tournament one time. It was a small tournament, like 14 players, something like that. And the way it turned out, I made the finals. Of course I got creamed, 3-0, whatever it was. But there was one point in one of those games where I made a really nice shot, a creative shot, and I got a nice shot tap from Alex. It really made me feel good. And I still remember the shot. I didn't have a direct shot to my pocket, but I was able to like ticky the ball off another ball, and it went in the pocket, and going off that other ball, it opened up a little cluster, and I had position. So if I was a Hall of Fame player like Alex Pagulayan, I would have run out and won that game. But I didn't, but I collected that shot, and you know, that's the beauty of One Pocket. When you play One Pocket, you're going to challenge your mind. You can play it at any different level, and you know, it's just a great game to love, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. And I want to thank everybody: Joe Long, Ray Hansen, James Leone, my wife Sue, and thank you very much. All the members of onepocket.org, everybody here. Thank you.
Short thing about
Oh, popcorn. Popcorn Miller was a pretty good player, but not a champion level player. But the thing that everybody remembered about Popcorn, super nice guy. He ended up in California, like in LA, but he had friends like everywhere. And when young players came from the East, or new players came from the East out to California, he got word ahead of time, and he would host them. They could always stay with Popcorn, and so he steered around so many players like Jimmy Reed, every player that you can name. Keith McCready can tell you about Popcorn too. Popcorn was mainly that's what he was known for, and he just died last year. That was it.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you. And on to some great one pocket. Buffaloes. This is the greatest one pocket tournament in the world.